Breaking news in the Bradley Manning case any minute now. You may well know this. We are expecting a judge to rule on dropping some of the 22 charges against the accused WikiLeaker, including aiding the enemy, which equates effectively to treason. We are in contact with Manning supporters who are inside the courtroom, who will let us know the decision as soon as it happens, which could well be in the next few minutes. Right now, I do want to bring in David House, close friend of Manning's and co-founder of the Bradley Manning Support Network, who joins us now. We'll talk about the network in just a second. But first, David, let's talk about the news. What is the best and worst outcome today, and what is its relevancy to the bigger narrative?
Sure. So the judge today is going to rule on whether Bradley Manning should face the charge of aiding the enemy for allegedly leaking documents to the organization WikiLeaks, which were then posted on the internet. Now, if the judge actually rules that he can face this charge, Manning would be subject to potentially the death penalty if this actually gets to trial. Now, if the judge says today, okay, well, he cannot actually face this charge, what this would do is undermine the government's case against Manning. Essentially, it would say, okay, well, Manning, when he allegedly leaked these documents, did so with the best interests of the American people in mind and not to aid the enemy. However, if the judge says it can go to trial, what we're looking at here is a very dire situation for soldiers in the future who may want to speak to reporters or post on blogs, because as the prosecution said, it does not matter the intent of someone who publishes information or speaks out relating to the military. They can be held accountable for aiding the enemy. So there's a profound, a disturbing effect that could happen if Manning actually faces aiding the enemy, because then any U.S. soldier who criticizes U.S. military or who speaks out could also face a similar charge and the death penalty.
I want to play everybody a statement from the State Department on exactly this. Take a listen.
Our embassies abroad continue to do a superb job of working with governments and societies where they are accredited and giving us a good, strong picture of what's going on. That doesn't change the fact that there was enormous turbulence in many of our bilateral relationships when this happened, and that there have been impacts on individuals.
It's almost as if they're saying that the revelation of this information, wherever it came from, was embarrassing and disruptive for powerful people who didn't want to be caught doing embarrassing things, and that things are still functional. And I guess what you're saying is that this ruling posits the question, or forces a judicial ruling on the question, as to whether releasing embarrassing things about powerful people equates to evil intent. Is that a fair interpretation?
That is entirely correct. What we're essentially witnessing here is the two parties in power essentially saying, hey, we've had many political careers that have been scuttled as a result of the information that's been released. We have trouble now maintaining our image amongst other diplomats because of things that have happened under the previous administrations. So to actually release this information does us political damage, and thus we think you should face the death penalty because of this. It's actually quite hard, and if you look at the proceedings of the court on Tuesday, Mr. Coombs made the argument that he has been trying to find the WikiLeaks impact assessment, which is a report internal to the government that, according to the press and copies leaked to the press, details that no actual harm came to any individuals as a result of the WikiLeaks releases. The government now is actually refusing, the government prosecution, to let Mr. Coombs have access to this information. This is just another example of government misconduct in this case. Right. This seems to be ongoing, stretching all the way from Quantico, where Manning was tortured essentially for 8 months, to today, where the defense has trouble even getting access to basic discovery documents they could use in this trial. The only question really is whether the government's incompetence is intentional or not.
I guess the deeper, a layered question in this, in the nature of this conversation, and then I'm going to have run the clock, but is, in the event information that is true reveals humiliating information about individuals with power who are embarrassed by that information, is the appropriate response to that to seek the death of someone that may have been responsible for releasing embarrassing information? When reality would suggest that if you're embarrassed by your behavior, that your best reparation is to change your behavior, is it not?
I would think so. In my mind, when I think of a politician, someone who would be a good politician, I think of someone who would be a good leader. I think of someone who would take responsibility for their actions and someone who would not be afraid of criticism so they could better themselves, not in the pursuit of their own political career, but in pursuit of actually helping their country and helping their nation. It seems now the culture in D.C. and Capitol Hill is one of total self-servingness to the extent that they're willing to execute young soldiers whose only alleged crime is opening up the government to the American people and allowing them to see what goes on behind closed doors. It's atrocious. And if the judge rules that Manning actually can face the aiding the enemy charge, it will be a very sad day for America.
Final question, and as we wrap this up, if folks want to learn more or assist you with the Bradley Manning Support Network, what do they do? Where do they go?
People who want to learn more about Bradley Manning and support open government should go to www.bradleymanning.org and donate to his legal defense.
All right. David, we appreciate your generosity with your time to give us a better understanding of his case. We appreciate the opportunity to draw attention to it as we consider it to be, as you do, suggestive of a very corroded political and justice culture in this country that we need to repair. Nice to talk to you, David.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. David will join us again as things develop in that case. Right now, the president, of course, focused on his own re-election campaign, which he says officially launches a week from Saturday.